joining us on Cool, the podcast that explores the intersections of inspiring technology, fascinating people, and captivating stories, or ideally a mix of all three. So get ready to embrace your inner cool kid as we go behind the scenes with today's innovators and storytellers. I'm your host, Cameron Kitt, the CEO and founder of Yo-Yo's, You Own Your Own Stories. And today we have the privilege of chatting with Leslie Jebson, the awesome regional admin in charge of orthopedics and sports and the Sports Medicine Network of Prisma Health. Welcome, Les.
Cameron, great to be with you. Thanks for giving me some time today.
Yeah, so we got connected on this because you recently jumped in and started your own podcast called Docs on Docs. Can you tell me just a little bit about it?
Yeah, I wouldn't take it too seriously. I think it's really an outlet. It's not anything business related. So the story is one of my childhood friends, dear friends, is a healthcare executive as well in the Midwest. And we found that, just after the pandemic, we were returned to work, but we picked up sort of a habit of looking or watching compelling documentaries, on Netflix and Hulu and Paramount Plus, and so we stop in the doctor's lounge periodically as part of our jobs and just check in with our physicians, and it became a bit of a phenomenon to share with them. They would ask us, hey, what's a good documentary you recommend that I should binge on or watch? And so over time, we started giving these documentary recommendations to the doctors. So a bit of a spoof. I was challenged by my primary care physician, and he said, you really need to share this with others. You should do a podcast. Well, that's probably the last thing I'm qualified to do or have time to do. But one of my New Year's commitments to my best friend was that, hey, why don't we just have fun? Don't take ourselves too seriously. And we'll interview physicians. So we'll ask doctors about documentaries they recommend in the doctor's lounge, right? So it's sort of a Seinfeld, if you like coffee table books about coffee tables, then you'll enjoy the Docs on Docs podcast. So we've got 2 or 3 under our belt. Definitely low production quality, but they're about 15 minutes each, and we're starting to talk to doctors all over the country.
I mean, I'm a fan of minimum viable product. I'm a fan of let's just start, right? The hardest thing is to just start. Everybody says, I need to start a podcast. Of course, this speaks to my heart because our company makes documentaries and podcasts, and so storytelling. Yes. And I think it's great to just have a conversation with a doctor about something that's not healthcare right away is kind of refreshing. But I'm going to ask, so I just want to say cheers to you, and we'll put the link to Docs on Docs in the show notes of this episode.
Okay.
But coming back to ortho and sports medicine, can you tell me a story about a patient just across your history of your work that really stands out to you? There's a bunch. One of the exciting benefits of my job is that I get to interact with elite athletes periodically, and one of my favorite memories is that we took care of the New York Yankees pitchers when I was in a similar role in orthopedics and sports medicine down in Florida. After we evaluated them, we also did some biomechanical analysis of the pitchers in a large biomechanics lab. And so I get to put on a catcher's mitt and catch for some of the New York Yankees pitchers one morning, which was pretty crazy. Now, once they started throwing super fast, I was like throwing to the net. You're going to take my head off, and so to warm them up was pretty fun. And then what people did, a lot of us didn't realize how kind of a generous man Mr. Steinbrenner was when he was alive. And he sent us all a bunch of New York Yankees swag and sent us a nice note saying thanks for taking care of my players. And so it was a pretty amazing experience. Yeah, so you had an experience. You had an experience beyond just going into the PT room and slapping someone on the shoulder and saying, how you doing, champ? You actually got to go out and spend time with them and have a memorable moment. And so it sounds like he also went the extra mile to thank you. Which probably felt pretty good. What would you say?
What's interesting is, it's interesting is that, again, not to go off on a tangent too much about George Steinbrenner, but not a lot of people realize that he would write a lot of 6-figure checks for
historically black colleges and universities, public universities, and a lot of times it was anonymous. And I, was privy to him writing a $50,000 check for the marching band at the university I was working with. Has no historical affiliation with it whatsoever. So that was one of the enlightening parts, as well as is seeing how generous the Steinbrenners really were. But yeah, I've been very fortunate to be around all sorts of elite athletes throughout most of my career.
I mean, you've traveled and lived all across the U.S. with your work, like Missouri, Florida, Texas, Illinois. Now you're in South Carolina. What's one big maybe plot twist you faced in your career? Since I'm a filmmaker, right? What's a plot twist? What's a story arc that you had to overcome?
Wow, what a great question. I've been, the plot twist would be I've been exceptionally lucky. I've been really lucky in life. The reason I've gone from different place to different place is that every time I planned on settling down, I literally have gotten a phone call or an email, and they've said, hey, we want to develop this clinical program. We want to grow this clinical program. Would you consider being a part of it? And I said, okay, I'll come and at least interview or visit. And that's what's ended up with all of the roles that I've had. They've just been very circuitous and happened at the right time. And so everything happens for a reason. I've been fortunate to actually turn down some pretty prestigious organizations as well that I didn't think would be a great fit for me, and vice versa. But not any in particular specific place, or they've all been interesting and different in their own way, and I've been very fortunate. And the current role that I'm in now is an exact example of that. I wasn't looking for another job, or I wasn't looking to relocate to South Carolina. They contacted me and shared the dynamics of the opportunity with me, and I said, this is fantastic. I'm meant to be here. And so 2 years ago this month, and we're continuing to have a really great time.
Yeah, that's amazing, Les. I mean, so it sounds like there were many plot twists. None of them are bad, but it's like, oh, just before I settle down, going to Texas, right? And, relocating your family. But it's all for getting to do cool projects and to help grow, clinics, it sounds like.
Yeah. Specialty programs and institutes is what my modus operandi is. Helping to develop clinical programs at large integrated healthcare systems is what I've done most of my career, and it's been wonderful so far. So I've had a very, very blessed career so far.
Amazing.
I don't know if I'll be retiring and moving into the documentary world anytime soon, but if Docs and Docs becomes an unanticipated cultural phenomenon, then Cameron, you're going to be my lead on it, right?
Yeah, it's going to have a massive film festival that goes around.
We'll be at Sundance in 2 years.
Yeah, you'll have your own special panels at South by, which is coming up soon.
Southwest.
So, Les, what do you wish people knew?
What do I wish people knew? I think not necessarily about me, but I think life's journey is one that, without getting too deeply philosophical, I think that of all of the horror that came about from the global pandemic, I think it allowed many of us to sort of reset our priorities. And I think we can have work-life balance. You can work hard, but you should also play hard and enjoy yourself and pause and smell the roses and not take yourself too seriously. And I think that's probably the big lesson I took away from the pandemic was it's okay to have a little bit more balance in your life and just take a moment to enjoy some of the more simple things and take time to take care of yourself mentally and physically and go do a little traveling. Even if you travel within your own state, if you travel with your own country, or if you are able to go internationally, go travel, because I think it helps give you perspective. So those are some of the takeaways I garnered from being forced at home for an extended period of time.
Travel, don't work too hard. Don't take everything so seriously. Just remember it's just a job. Life is short. Those kinds of things.
I love making people laugh, right? And you don't exactly meet too many healthcare executives with a sense of humor. So I hope I've got a halfway decent sense of humor, right?
How do you live that? What you just said of making time for yourself, can you give me an example of how you're doing that in your life?
Yeah. So periodically I will schedule a breakfast meeting with somebody that's not in healthcare, whether it's the mayor of the town I'm in, if it's a professor of history at the university that we're affiliated with, and just, talk to them. A lot of time I talk to, my dear friend Brian, and we talk about documentaries, or we talk about travel, or we talk about food, or different. We're big foodies as well. So I encourage people to move into the uncomfortable, right? If you go into the cafeteria at your place of work, sit down to somebody you've never met before, and talk to them and just engage them. There will be this odd discomfort for the first 30 seconds, and then you'll probably realize you have more in common than you thought you did. And just strike up conversations with strangers, and it can lead to very interesting things. There was an old CBS show back in the day that was on the end of the CBS News broadcast, and it was Everybody Has a Story. I can't remember the exact name of it, but the premise of the mini show within the end of the newscast was this gentleman would open a phone book and go, here, put his finger in it in a random town, and go visit that person. And,
I love that.
Hear about their story. I'll send it to you. It's 20 years ago. They used to do it at the end of the news broadcast, and it was Everybody Has a Story. And this guy would go meet random people all over the United States and realize that, and ask them, and just like you are, you're a natural at this, Cameron, right? For getting people to talk and open up, and it reminds me of that. Yeah.
Everybody has a story. There was a really good one of the very earlier episodes of This American Life. They had people come in shifts at a 24-hour diner and would just wait. Whoever was coming to the diner, they would interview. And some people are reticent to share, but I really love that idea, that conceit of the phone book. I bet those were some and people you don't realize your own pre-existing biases about who you would reach out to, right? Until it comes time to be completely random with it. I have so much else that I want to talk about, but I think this is a great moment to take a quick break to remind everyone that this podcast is brought to you by Yo-Yos, You Own Your Own Stories, a documentary storytelling company that demystifies cutting-edge technology with emotional human stories. If you got a cool story to share, we can help you get it out there. So, Les, we said, one of the words that this podcast is about is cool tech, and we are talking about ortho. What's some of your favorite tech in the ortho space, and what's some exciting things that you see coming down the pipeline that get you kind of jazzed?
One I can show you, not planned, right? You're asking
show me.
I'll show you. The other one is what you're going to see. The patient's not going to see it, but robotic technology, surgical robots are the big frontier now for contemporary orthopedic surgery. There's a slew of robotic solutions that are used in the operating room to help the surgeon with navigation and placement. And there's a broad array of vendors that offer those. I was just reading in the Ortho News today, there's a new FDA-approved handheld surgical navigation tool that you basically hold over the knee during surgical evaluations. So the big tech trend for us, and robots have been around for a while, but they're really getting more and more advanced, and they're getting more compact, And so the size of them and the visualization components in them are just becoming absolutely remarkable. So we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, when it comes to these advanced surgical robots. Now, on the cooler side, simple thing is if you ever broke a bone, right?
I'm not.
Okay, you are fortunate, but if you remember seeing kids at school, you might have signed their cast. Right? And so casting is plaster of Paris. What you're doing is you're trying to fixate the fracture so it will heal appropriately, right? And so that's why you're putting a cast on it. And historically, casts have not changed much over the years, and they've stayed essentially the same. And then you cut the cast off when the fracture is healed, whether it's on your leg or your arm. And so what I'm excited about is, and I'm not going to say any vendor names because again, I'm not trying to endorse anything, but there's two technologies, but this is one, and the problem with casts is you have to pay extra money if you want a waterproof cast, right? Believe it or not. Otherwise, you got to put a plastic bag over it and shower for the duration of.
Yeah.
Yes. So the French have invented a new cast, and there's two different versions of this. So I'll hold it up for you here. And so that is a new type of cast for an arm fracture. Right? And as you can see,
it looks pretty futuristic.
It's again, it's molded. So what they do is this is custom. Well, some of these are prefabbed, but otherwise they're custom molded. And also they come with an app in the other version of it that will adjust the cast so that it can continue to heal the fracture appropriately. So
finally, some updates to this technology that's been around since the 40s or forever, right? It's just very old. So really cool. Thank you. I'm like, this is great. We get a visual, and this is gonna be something we can cut for.
Yeah, it's just
for social media, right?
I have this back here. So we've been looking at how we can adopt less invasive, more patient comfort, and more precise healing with casting, which is at the cornerstone of orthopedic surgery.
It's like, how do we make wearing a cast cool? There's a Reddit group called Never Broke a Bone, and the entire conceit of the group is as soon as you do break a bone, you post about it, and everyone in the group just goes, "Get out of here! Take those weak bones, leave!" It's very funny. This idea of as soon as you break a bone, you're like, "I'm out, guys," and everyone boos you out of the room. But this idea of you are very restricted, and it's very lonely, and your life is on hold for a lot of times. So if you can at least make it more, like you said, patient centric. Back to the robots. Oh, go ahead, Les. Go ahead.
I was going to say, particularly foot and ankle fractures, very a much more long healing process, or Achilles tendon repairs, and you'll see people on the kind of the uni scooter.
Yeah, when are we going to fix crutches? Is the wheelies the next evolution? Because my sister was on crutches when she tore her ACL, and going up and down those stairs, that poor girl. it was hell.
Crutches have gotten better, but there's still opportunities. There's still opportunities for innovation. I'm sure as carbon composites and materials get better, crutches and orthotics will continue.
I want a full robotic suit like in Aliens, where you walk around, or it walks for you. I think
exoskeleton is what you're talking about.
I want a full exoskeleton when I break a bone. But back to the robotic surgical robots. I made a video for a big company about that, and I was doing my research. I get on the phone with them talking about it, patients, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm sure patients are really not interested and scared of the robot. And they were like, au contraire, the patients are desperate for the robot and they want the robot. So can you speak to that? Is that true that you find that a patient population with knee replacements or hip replacements is excited about the robots?
Yeah.
You found that?
There is, the help that speaks to the healthcare consumerism movement that we're in the midst of. My generation, you went to the doctor and the doctor told you what you needed, and you never really questioned it, right? Mm-hmm. You need to take these pills. You need to get this casted. You need to have that surgery, whatever it might be. And the consumerism movement, people are saying more and more, wait a second, is this in my best interest? I should get a second opinion. Let me shop price. Let me actually shop price for that elective procedure. So the consumerism movement has played well with the advent of orthopedic robots and the Da Vinci robot for general surgery and urology. And that's a more minimally invasive, amazing technology. But yes, patients are now saying, you know what, doc, you're not having a robot do my surgery, are you? No. What I do is I use this surgical robot with its extended arm here for how I drill and how I place the implants. And there's an association of technology and quality and exactness and preciseness and things of that nature.
Well, and patient centricity, right? I get a scan, I get an MRI, and you have a special scan of my hip that helps you line up the robot better, and it's all more about me. Not everybody has that, but there's so much evolving technology to make it more custom to you as well, right? So it's not. I think that could be exciting.
There are even custom implants.
Yeah, that's so cool, right? I mean, I think that's what we all want. We want it to be about me. But I think
it's a big surgery, right? It's a big surgery,
It is.
when I started my career many years ago, we were in awe of the California-based orthopedic surgeons that were able to get patients out of the hospital that had a hip or knee replacement in less than 5 days, because we were at 6.5 days in the Midwest where I was, and today it's 6 hours. Right? You go in the morning. You have your robotic assisted knee replacement.
Yeah.
You recover in the post anesthesia care unit of the outpatient surgery center, and home you go, and you start the recovery journey. And 6 weeks out, generally speaking, I mean the vast majority will tell you they feel markedly better. At 3 months, they're telling you I shouldn't have waited as long as I did to have my knee replaced.
Oh yeah, I hear that one a lot. Yeah. I don't know why I waited and pushed through the pain, right? Why suffer in pain? I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it's like a mark of Americanness, right? We want to suffer.
And the incisions, right? The knee incisions
that's
are
true.
quite large, but the incisions are getting smaller. They're less invasive. The recovery is quicker, and you're having a major joint replacement done in the same day. So it's an exciting time in contemporary surgery, and it's certainly an incredibly exciting time in orthopedics to see how we'll continue to harness technology to make the patient experience as good as it can be.
What a great summary, Les. Like, you've been ushering in all this great new ways of doing things, working with patients all across the country. One last question is, who do you think would be a phenomenal guest for this show?
You know what? There's all sorts of individuals that come to mind. My natural inclination is to go towards healthcare, right? And maybe a clinician. But I think the most interesting individual I would talk to is a high school chemistry teacher named Matthew Flack. And Matt Flack is an incredibly remarkable and interesting human being who I just had a beer with a week ago. And he doesn't work in healthcare. I don't get to see him as frequently as I would like, but he's probably one of the most interesting and humble individuals I've had the privilege of knowing. So, and
oh man, it's going to be so hard to record a 20-minute podcast with somebody who I already know is going to light up my nerdery. But Les, you're just so fun to talk to. I really appreciate you coming on, and thanks everyone for listening to Cool. I'm Cameron Kitt from Yo-Yo's. A huge thank you to Les Jebson from Prisma Health. And for sharing some of these great stories. You can check out the show notes to find out more about him, his podcast, and of course our website, and let us know what you thought about the episode on social media with the hashtag Cool podcast. Les, thanks for coming on.
Cameron, thanks for being my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being a friend.